A Story of Plantagenet, by Nora Pembroke Margaret Moran Dixon McDougall, in the small village of St. Joseph, below the city of Ottawa, still lives or did live very recently, an ancient couple. Whole story is told in the following lines. Part 1 lays of fair dames of lofty birth, and golden hair alt richly curled, of knights that venture life for love, suit poets of the older world. We wilt not fill our simple rhymes with diamond flash, or gleaming pearl. In singing of the bygone times, we simply sing the love and faith, outliving absence, strong as death, of one Jow-born Canadian girl. 'Twas long ago the rapid spring had scarce given place to summer yet, the Ottawa, with swollen flood, rolled past thy banks, Plantagenet, thy banks where tall and plumed pines stood rank on rank, in serried lines. Green islands, each with leafy crest, lay peaceful on the river's breast. The trees, ere this, had, one by one, shook out their leaflets to the sun, forming a rustling, waving screen, while swollen waters rolled between. The wild deer trooped through woodland path, and sought the river's strand, slight danger then of flashing death, from roving hunter's hand, for very seldom was there seen a hunter of the doomed red race. Few spots, with miles of bush between, marked each a settler's dwelling place. No lumberer's axe, no snorting scream of fierce, though trained and harnessed steam, no paddle wheel's revolving sound, no raftsman's cheer, no bay of hound was heard to break the silent spell that seemed to rest o'er wood and dell. All was so new, so in its prime, an almost perfect solitude, as if had passed but little time since the All-Father called it good. Nature in one thanksgiving psalm gathered each sound that broke the calm. There was a little clearing there, a snow-white cot, a garden fair, where useful plants in order set, with bergamot and mignonette, glories that round the casement run, and pansies smiling at the sun, and wildwood blossoms fair and sweet, showed forth how thrift and beauty meet. There was a space to plant and sow, fenced by the pine's strong hands laid low. By that lonely cottage stood, with eyes fixed on the swollen flood, a slight young girl with raven hair, and face that was both sad and fair. Oh, fair and lovely are the maids, nursed in Canadian forest shades, the beauties of the older lands molded anew by nature's hands, fired by the free Canadian soul, joined to produce a matchless whole. The roses of Britannia's isle, in rosy blush and rosy smile, the light of true and tender eyes, as blue and pure as summer skies, light-footed maids, as matchless fair as grow by Scotia's heath-fringed rills, sweet as the hawthorn-scented air, and true as the eternal hills. We have the arch yet tender grace, the power to charm of Erin's race, the peachy cheek, the rosebud mouth, imported from the sunny south, with the dark, melting, lustrous eye, silk lashes curtain languidly. The charms of many lands had met in Marie of Plantagenet. She had the splendid southern eye, she had the northern brow of snow, the blush caught from a northern sky, dark silky locks of southern flow, light-footed as the forest roe, as stately as the mountain pine, a smile that lighted up her face, the sunshine of a maiden's grace, and made her beauty half divine. So fair of face, so fair of form was she, the peerless forest born. Nature is kindly to her own, to this Canadian cottage lone, a backwood settler's lot to bless, she brought this flower of loveliness. Seldom such beauty does she bring to grace the palace of a king. A chevalier of sunny France, whom fate ordained to wander here, to trade, to trap, to hunt the deer, to roam with free foot through the wild. He chanced, at husking, in the dance to meet Marie, LePage's child, and vowed that, roaming everywhere, except the lady fair as day, who held his troth plight far away, he ne'er saw face or form so fair. From France's fair and stately queen, to maiden dancing on the green, from lowly bower to lordly hall, this forest maid outshone them all. When old LePage would hear this praise, then would he turn and smiling say to the plump partner of his days, we who know our Marie well, how true the heart so young and gay, we will not of her beauty tell. Her love is more to thee and me, and yet our child is fair to see. So many a dashing hunter brave, and many an axeman of the wood, and hardy settler was her slave and thought the bondage very good. But she, so kind to those she met, she smiled on all, but walked apart, keeping the treasure of her heart, the fair queen of Plantagenet, no thought of love her bosom stirs toward her rustic worshippers, until one came and settled near, famed as a hunter of the deer, the firmest hand, the truest eye, the dauntless heart and courage high where his, and famed beyond his years he stood among his young compeers. He, ere the snow wreath left the land, slew 2 fierce wolves with single hand, famished they followed on his tracks, he armed with nothing but his axe, he knew the river far and near, beyond the foaming dread Shadir, far, far beyond that spot of fear he'd been a hardy voyager through the white swells of many a salt, had safely steered his bark canoe, knew how to pass each raging chute, though boiling like the wild culbute the wilds of nature were his home, his paddle beat the fleecy foam of surging rapids' yeasty spray, and bore him often far away beyond the pine-fringed Allumette. He saw the sun in glory set, his boat song roused the lurking fox from den beside the Wazo rock, upward upon the river's breast, the highway to the wild northwest, past the long lake Temiskamingay, where wild drakes plume their glossy wing. Oft had he urged his light canoe, hunting the moose and caribou. He knew each portage on the way to the far posts of Hudson's Bay, and even its frozen waters saw, when roaming courier Dubois, in the great company's employ, which he had entered when a boy. Comely he was, and blithe, and young, had a light heart and merry tongue, and bright dark eye, was brave and bold, skillful to earn, and wise to hold. And so this hunter came our way, and stole our wood nymph's heart away, and it became Belle Marie's lot to love Napoleon Rajat. Of all the sad despairing swains, foredoomed to disappointment's pains, none felt the pangs of jealous woe so keenly as Antome Vaso, a thrifty settler's only son, who much a backwoods wealth had won. A steady lad of nature mild, had been her playmate from a child, and saw a stranger thus come in, and take what he had died to win. He saw him loved the best, the first, still he his hopeless passion nursed. At Easter-time the cure came, and after Easter-time was gone, the hunter brave, the peerless dame were blessed and made for ever one. Beside the cottage white she stood, and looked across the swelling flood, across the wave that rolled between the islets robed in tender green, watching with eager eyes, she views a fleet of large well-manned canoes, the high curved bow and stern she knew, that marked each company canoe, and o'er the wave both strong and clear, their boat song floated to her ear. She marked their paddles' steady dip, and listened with a quivering lip. Her bridegroom, daring, gay, and young, with the bold heart and winning tongue, was with them, upward bound. Away to the far posts of Hudson's Bay, gone ere the honeymoon is past, the bright brief moon too sweet to last, gone for 2 long and dreary years, and she must wait and watch at home, bear patiently her woman's fears, and hope and pray until he come. She stands there still, although the last canoe of all the fleet is past. Of paddles dip, of boat song gay, the last faint sound has died away. She only said in turning home, "I'll wait and pray until he come." Part 2. Spring flung abroad her dewy charms, and blushing grew to summer shine. Summer sped on with outstretched arms, to meet brown autumn crowned with vine. The forest glowed in golden green, the leafy maples flamed in red with the warm, hazy, happy beam of Indian summer overhead, bright, fair, and fleet as passing dream. The autumn also hurried on, and, shuddering, dropped her leafy screen. The ice king from the frozen zone, in fleecy robe of ermine dressed, came stopping rivers with his hand, binding in chains of ice the land. Bringing, ere early spring he met, to Marie of Plantagenet, a pearly snowdrop for her breast. An infant Marie to her home to brighten it until he come. Twice had the melting nor'west snow come down to flood the Ottawa's wave. The seasons as they come and go bring back, she said, the happy day to welcome him from far away. Thy father, child, my hunter brave. That snowdrop baby now could stand, and run to Marie's outstretched hand, had all the charms that are alone to youthful nursing mothers known. 'Twas summer in the dusty street, 'twas summer in the busy town, summer in forests waving green, when, at an inn in Old Lachine, and in the room where strangers meet, sat one, bright-eyed and bold and brown. Soon will he joyful start for home in fair Plantagenet. His wallet filled with 2 years' pay, well won at distant Hudson's Bay, and the silk dress that stands alone, for her the darling, dark-eyed one. Parted so long, so soon to meet, his every thought of her is sweet. My bride, my wife, with what regret, I left her at Plantagenet. There came no whisper through the air to tell him of his baby fair. But still he sat with absent eye, and thoughts that were all homeward bound, and passed the glass untasted by, while jest, and mirth, and song went round. There sat and jested, drunk and sung, the captain of an eerie boat, with Erin's merry heart and tongue, a skilful captain when afloat, on shore a boon companion gay, the foremost in a tavern brawl, to dance or drink the night away, or make love in the servants' hall. The merry devil in his eye could well all passing round him spy. Wanting picked men to man his boat, eager to be once more afloat, his keen eye knew the man he sought, at once he pitched upon Rajat. The bright, brown man, so silent there, he judged could both endure and dare. He waited till he caught his eye. Then raising up his glass on high, "Stranger, I drink your health," said he, "you'll sail the Emerald Isle with me. A smarter crew, a better boat, Lake Erie's waves will never float. I want but one to fill my crew. I wish no better man than you. High wage, light work, a jolly life, is ours. No care, no fret, no strife. So come before the good chance pass, and drown our bargain in the glass." "Not so," Rajat said with a smile, "let others sail the Emerald Isle, for I have been 2 years away, a trapper at the Hudson's Bay. 2 years is long enough to roam, I'm bound to see my wife and home." The captain shook his curly head. "Did you not hear the news?" he said. "Last summer came from Hudson's Bay, a courier from York Factory. He brought the news that you were dead, killed by a wounded grizzly bear when trapping all alone up there. Found you himself, the fellow said, and your wife mourned and wept her fill, refusing to be comforted. But grief, you know, will pass away. She found new love as women will, and married here the other day." Not doubting aught of what he heard, he sat, but neither spoke nor stirred. His heart gave one great throb of pain, and stopped, then bounded on again. His bronze face took an ashen hue, as his great woe came blanching through, and stormy thoughts with stinging pain swept with wild anguish through his brain, but not a word he spoke. They only saw his lips grow pale, but no word questioned of the tale. "You might have," thought the captain bold, had almost wished his tale untold, but careless he of working harm when coveting that brave right arm. At last the silence broke. "He who brought news that I was dead, is it to him my wife is wed?" "Was it? I know it must be so. It must have been Antoine Vaisseau." "Yes," said the captain, "'tis the same, Antoine Vaisseau's the very name." So ere the morrow's morn had come, Rajat had turned his back from home, and gone for evermore, gone off, alone with his despair, while his true wife and baby fair watched for him at the door. The rough crew of the Emerald Isle had one grim man without a smile, so prompt to do, so wild to dare, reckless and nursing his despair. The merry light had left his glance, his foot refused to join the dance. His heart refused to pray. "Oh, to forget," he oft would cry, "forget this ceaseless agony, to fly from thought away." Woe spun her white threads in his hair, and bitter and unblessed despair ploughed furrows in his face. Grief her dark shade on all things cast. None dared to question of the past, his sorrow seemed disgrace. When rumor rose of Indian war, troops mustering for the west afar, that wanted them a guide, Rajat said, "I'm the man to go." War's din he thought would drown his woe. 'Twas well the world was wide. The Black Hawk War began. Went on. Men dare not tell what men have done, the whites' relentless cruelty o'ermastering Indian treachery winking face. Rajat, a stern determined man, sought death, forever in the van on many a fierce fought battle plain. His life seemed charmed, he sought in vain. Spring came and went. The years went past. War ended, peace came round at last. But war might go, and peace might come, Rajat thought not of turning home. Till, failing strength, and fading eye, he turned him homeward just to die. Perhaps although he felt it not, in his fierce wrestling with his lot, there was a drawing influence from the dear home so far away, and faithful prayers had risen from Thence, to him who hears us when we pray, who watched the lonely waiting heart that nursed its love and faith apart, and, pitying her well-born pain, ordained it should not be in vain. Part 3. Now turn we to Plantagenet. Through all these weary, waiting years, how many hopes and fears have met, how many prayers, how many tears. When the time came that he should come back to his fair young wife and home, often and often would she say, "He'll surely come to us today." Pet Marie's best robe was put on and the poor mother dressed with care, glad that she was both young and fair, to meet thy father, little one. Oft standing on the very spot where she had parted from Rajat, she stood a patient watcher long, and listened eagerly to hear the voyager's returning song come floating to her ear, but still he came not. Years went by, yet she must pray, and hope, and wait. His form would some day meet her eye, his steps sound at the river gate. Oh, it was hard to hear them say, "He comes not, and he must be dead." Cease pining all your life away, 'twere better far that you should wed. And Antoine keeps his first love still, and Antoine is so well to do, you may be happy if you will his pleading eyes ask leave to woo. 'Twas a relief to steal away, and tell her Aben rosary, and to the Virgin Mother pray, thinking that she in heaven above remembered all of earthly love and human sympathy, and having suffered human pain, known what it was to grieve in vain, might bend to listen to her prayer, and make the absent one her care. In pleading with her son she waited while the years went on, and would not think that hope was gone. Ever his steps seemed sounding near, his voice came floating to her ear, and longing prayer, and yearning pain reached out to draw him back again, and love beyond all estimate strengthened her heart to hope and wait. Pet Marie grew up tall and fair, her girlish love, her merry ways kept the poor mother from despair through many weary nights and days. Spring and high water both had met once more at fair Plantagenet. Once more the island trees were seen adorned with leaves of tender green. Ox-Lieves's roar was heard afar, where waters dashed on rocks to spray, roaring and tumbling in their play, kept up a boisterous holiday, with tumult loud of mimic war. The wild ducks of Lochaber's Bay were playing round on wanton wing, rippling the current with their breasts, feeling the gladness of the spring, pairing and building happy nests. All sounds of spring were in the air, all sights of spring were fresh and fair. Sad Marie of Plantagenet, with silver threads among her hair, and by her side her blooming pet, as she had once been, fresh and fair, stood on the bank that glorious day, thinking of him so long away. A while they both in silence stood, then Marie said, "The nor-west flood again, another year has come. You see those waterfowl at play come with the flood from far away. What flood will bring your father home? 'Tis 17 years ago today, since, parting here, he went away." Just then young Marie, glancing round, "Mamma, I hear a paddle's sound. Look there, those maple branches through, below us, there's a bark canoe. 'Tis stopping at our landing place. There's but one man with hair so grey, and a worn weather-beaten face. See, he is coming up this way. Mamma, I wonder who is he. Stay here and I will go and see." Rajat, who thought he did not care, that he had conquered even despair, could bear to see as well as know that Marie was the Dame Vaso, came to the parting spot, and there, in the bright sunlight's happy beams, stood the fair image of his dreams, as young as on the parting day, as bright as when he went away, as beautiful as when he met her first in fair Plantagenet, his Marie, living, breathing, warm, her glorious eyes, her midnight hair shading the beauty of her face, the same lithe, rounded, perfect form, the look of true and tender grace. Rajat stood spellbound, and the past seemed fading like a horrid dream. "Marie," he said, "I'm home at last. Speak, Marie, are you what you seem? After all these long years of pain, art thou love given to me again?" The maiden stood with wondering eyes, silent, because of her surprise, but the wife Marie gave a cry of joy that rose to agony. She rushed the long lost one to meet, and falling, fainted at his feet. He held the true wife's pallid charms slowly reviving in his arms, and then he surely learned to know a little of the grand, true heart that through so many years of woe waited, and prayed, and watched apart, keeping love's light while he was gone, like sacred fire still burning on while hearts are bargained for and sold, in fashion's fortune-chasing whirl. we simply sing the love and faith outliving absence strong as death, of one low-born Canadian girl.